Namaste and welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity. And we're going to continue with our exercise from the Jar Project. I was outside a few minutes ago and attempting to do this outside, but it's just too hot in the sun and the computer doesn't like the sun. I wanted you guys to experience the music that's out there that I enjoy every day, and that is the sound of so many different bird song, the breeze through the trees. I have so many trees in my yard, and the sound of just life going all on, taking place all around. It's just very, very soothing and relaxing, and very, very much appreciate it because it is like a blessing. We would have stayed out there as well if it wasn't for the silver birch beetles. Where I come from, there's a lot of those, and they will land on you, and they will take quite a chunk out of you if you let them. So my daughter and I were a little bit paranoid. She's still out there now, but I came in. Anyway, I pulled the question from the jar. I'm going to take a deep breath. And the answer is, or the question is, which that was the answer. What is healthy versus unhealthy wanting? What is healthy versus unhealthy wanting? That's a really good question, and anytime I attempt to answer one of these questions, I maybe fail to say every time is that this is not expert advice or opinion, is simply mine, what I've learned through my own learning over the years, and what I've learned mostly from reflecting on my own mind and the way that works. What I've come to see as healthy versus unhealthy wanting is this. Healthy wanting is what the deeper part of us wants. Unhealthy wanting is what the ego wants. Not that what the ego wants is ever going to hurt us or delay us. It is our attachment to what the ego wants that delays us and hinders our growth spiritually. And I think you could want, as the secret and, the law of attraction purports, something out there, and you may actually even manifest it if you want it and intend it in the correct way. You may manifest it and it may show up in your life. I think what happens with that law of attraction, which I think is kind of an unhealthy take on this consciousness thing, is that you may get or may want, you focus on the wanting of the things of the physical world in hope that getting those will make you feel happy and whole inside, when that is not the way it works. So sure, you may end up with that Porsche that you were, intending and putting up on your vision board and, talking about and affirming about. But once you get it, I guarantee it's not going to satisfy you for long before that wanting tendency comes into play again. It is not things in this world that will fulfill us or satisfy us or sustain that sense of satisfaction for very long. It is the no things of the spiritual world or the invisible world that will actually sustain us and make us feel whole and happy, because we are already whole and happy. So it's not even a matter of making us feel whole and happy. It is a matter of realizing that we are already whole and happy. So wanting something from the ego to satisfy the ego is not healthy, because egos cannot be satisfied. First of all, egos are not real. They're just this idea of what we have of ourselves, who we think we are. Egos are just the personality, the psyche, with all its preferences, its likes and dislikes, and its tendency towards aversions. That ego can never be satisfied for long, because what it's seeking to satisfy is not even real, right? The ego pulls us from understanding who we truly are at the deepest level. And that self, with a capital S, doesn't desire or want in the same way ego does. It is not attached to outcome. It doesn't care if we get that Porsche or not. What it wants is to express itself through us, to be the happy, joyous, loving self that we are, and to express that through us. Sure, that Porsche, when we get it, may make us happy for a while. It may open us up to experience the self as it naturally flows through. But, like I said, it will not sustain us for long because the egos tend to close, right? They tend to close when things in life don't go their way. So when they close, we close off Shakti flow. We close off the flow of that self that doesn't desire the happiness and joy we already are, that we erroneously think the Porsche is going to give us. We close off to that, so we feel unsatisfied suddenly, and we're needing something more to want and desire. So though wanting and desire in themselves have no real consequence in our lives, it is the attachment to the idea of wanting and desiring, or to the objects of those wants and desires, that causes us the problem. Because we're erroneously believing they will make us happy. We're looking outward rather than looking inward towards the source where happiness and joy come from, which is already in us. So it's just a misdirected perspective, a misdirected aiming for. It is a misdirected way of approaching our lives, because true happiness is already within, and it's not an external game, it's an internal game. So the more we want and desire for ego's sake, for that little personality's sake, the further we will get from realizing that we already have all that we want and desire within us. So healthy wanting then would be simply in the journey before you recognize who you are truly, or in your process of recognizing who you are. You want for the peace that self offers. Instead of saying life be a certain way, circumstances be a certain way, these people show up in my life, these things show up in my life, that's what I want. Instead of saying that, give me the peace to accept all as it happens, no matter what happens. Give me the peace to trust life to unfold exactly the way it is meant to, and for me to be okay with it. Now that is true, healthy wanting. And then once we recognize ourselves and who we truly are, there is no need for want, because there's nothing that will fulfill the self. The self is already fulfilled. And the more we recognize and live in self, the less we will, recognize and live in ego's wants and desires, which will seem so puny in comparison to the healthy want and the achievement of that healthy want, which is simply recognizing who we truly are at the deepest level. So unhealthy wants, sure, go for them. You want to manifest anything, go for it, manifest it. Just recognize that it will not bring you what you truly, truly want at the deepest level. And that is unconditional peace. A type of peace and joy, happiness and love that doesn't go away when life doesn't work the way we want it to. When we manifest or don't manifest what the secret tells us we can manifest or not manifest. When we're simply happy being who we are, doing whatever it is we're doing, and not being disturbed by a lack of getting, or not being stroked and happy with the achievement of these goals we seek out to achieve. It's not attachment to outcome. It's simply being. And I think a healthy want, sure, all wants basically do not have to be harmful, but they may not be skillful in getting us to where we truly want to be. And that is where unconditional peace exists. That's all I have to say about that. Hope it makes sense. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.